going on, folks? Hope you're doing awesome out there. When it comes to guitar tone, there's about a million ways we can achieve what we want to hear in our heads. With that in mind, today we're going to check out 3 distortion pedals, and then we're going to compare them against 2 amps on the high gain channels through 2 different speaker cabinets. For that setup, I'll be miking up the speaker cabinets using a Shure SM57 and a Lewitt MTP 440DM. For all of the tones, I'm going to be using my GOC Valkyrie 3 loaded with bare knuckle Blackhawk pickups. The uncovered bridge pickup is the only one we're going to be using for today's video. Now, let's check out the pedals. So to start off our fun today, we're going to be using the NUX Reissue Series Recto distortion pedal. Supposedly this pedal sounds like a dual rectifier. I've never owned a rectifier of any variety, dual or otherwise, so I really can't say, but I do know I really enjoy the distortion on this pedal. It can be very difficult to make out the settings, so for all of these pedals, I'll be posting that up when we start going through the sound sampling. Next up is the MXR Fullbore Metal. I've heard this thing either is amazing or absolutely terrible. I've had it for a number of years and I really like it. That said, I've heard it likened to a bunch of hornets, a bunch of bees, but you know, maybe you're into that, and I absolutely am. You can see the settings on this one a lot easier, but just like with the other pedals, I will be posting the settings. And last up is going to be the Electro-Harmonix Big Muff. Yes, I am aware this is not actually a distortion pedal. This is a fuzz pedal, but they have similar sound qualities and they produce similarly awesome sounds. So we are going to be using it in here. My pedal board is a little bit out of sorts right now. I promise once the recording starts, I'll actually have these integrated. The reason that some of these aren't plugged in is because I've been changing things out between my primary pedal board and my backup pedal board. So all this will be cleaned up by the time we start doing the sound samples. Also, if you are wondering why my pedal board is sitting up here on top of the amp instead of down on the floor where it belongs, it's because of my cat Atlas, who loves to chew on cords. Bless his heart. All of these pedals will be running through the front end of my Crate Blue Voodoo 120H on the clean channel, and then running through my Harley Benton 212 with the vintage Celestion 30 speakers. Let's see, what other details are relevant here? I will be miking up the entire setup as I mentioned at the beginning of this video. So that's how we're going to do this. For the amplifiers themselves that we're going to be doing with the distortion instead of the pedals, we will also be using the Crate Blue Voodoo 120H, going through the exact same speaker cabinet. And then for a little bit of comparison, we'll do my Randall RG1003 here. I don't know why that went blurry so fast. That's awkward. I apologize for that. That amp will be running through the Boss 2x12 cabinet that I have here with the Wazacraft speakers. This is probably going to be the biggest difference between all of them. This one just has a different sound quality, obviously different cabinet, different speakers, but the amp itself also has some different distortion properties that we'll talk about after the sound demo. All right, I'm going to get set up and then we'll get into the sound demo. Before we get to the sound sample, a couple details that I forgot. You'll notice that I have the Boss SD1 Super Overdrive plugged in. This is also running into the front of the amp. However, it will not be used in this video. Neither the NUX nor the MXR need that overdrive. In fact, the Fullbore Metal sounds absolutely atrocious with that pedal, so it will not be used for either of those 2 pedals. That said, in the effects loop, I do have my Sentry noise gate from TC Electronics. That will be used, especially since we're miking up this setup. So that will be used with the pedals. Boss SD1, not used. All right, moving on. A good, clean, ambient guitar tone will soothe and heal the soul, but nothing gets the soul moving like distortion, and man, these pedals have got it in spades. If I had to rank the pedals, I'd probably take the MXR first, the NUX second, and somewhere down the line, the Big Muff. For me, the NUX was the cleanest, most refined of the distortion pedals. Clean is a little bit of a weird adjective to use when you're talking about a distortion pedal, but if you've worked with a lot of distortion pedals or a lot of high gain channels on your amps, you know the guitar tone can get sludgy and muddy real quick when you start dialing up that gain. For me, the NUX was more tight, gathered. I'm not sure what other adjectives I would use. In the room, it definitely sounds good, and on recording, I thought it sounded all right, but it definitely sounded good in my book. The MXR, I can see what people are talking about when they liken it to a can of bees or angry hornets, but I kind of dig that sound. The Big Muff is weird for me, and I kind of have some regret. I wish I had taken the time to dial the pedal in a little bit better, and I could see it having some niche use in recording. It's just not really for me. Maybe I'll use it in the future for something or other, but it's not the first pedal I'm going to grab when it comes to recording distortion or probably even fuzz, unfortunately. For the amp tones, the Crate Blue Voodoo sounds awesome in the room, and I thought it sounded all right on recording. I really like that amp, and honestly, it doesn't take much to make that thing sound fantastic. The other side of the coin with that Randall, talk about regret. I really wish I had taken the time to dial in the tone a little bit better on that thing, or maybe I could have added in a disclaimer and used, you know, a compressor pedal or an EQ pedal, something to make that thing sound better. In the room, it actually sounds all right, but on recording, I was a little taken aback by how much low end was on there and how underwhelming the tone was. There is definitely a big difference between the Wazacraft Boss 2x12 cabinet and the Harley Benton 2x12 with Celestion Vintage 30 speakers. I don't know, maybe one of these days I'll do an experiment where I kind of switch the amps. I'll run the Crate through the Boss with the Wazacraft speakers, and I'll run the Randall through the Harley Benton with the Celestion Vintage 30 speakers and see if I get the same result. All I know is that I was a little disappointed with that Randall tone, and I wish I'd taken some time to make it sound a little bit better. But hey, it still serves the purpose for this video, and it provides a nice compare and contrast with the other amp and with the other pedals. All right, well, that's going to do it for today. I appreciate you guys joining me. Take care of yourselves, find a smile, and I'll see you for the next one. Later.